Hey everybody, Chuck Barone. Friday, June the 2nd, 2023. Hope everybody's having an awesome day. You might be asking yourself, wow Chuck, you look like you're dressed the exact same way you were dressed for the video yesterday. If you thought that, bonus points for you because I am dressed the same as I was for the Thursday video on Friday here because I'm recording this video on Thursday. So it's going to be a little bit of a weird one today because I don't have any market wrap up to give you guys, and I just want to talk. It's been such a weird couple of weeks for me. I was sick at the end of last week. I missed a couple of days of videos. We had the holiday on Monday, and I didn't want to miss another day today and not put a video out. But I'm actually traveling today. I'm going to be heading up to Northern Nevada for a little R&R this weekend. Time to get out of Vegas. You got to do that every once in a while or the town will make you crazy. So anyway, I wanted to give you guys just a little bit of information, a little bit of stuff to pass along on a Friday to wrap up the week. So today's the day we're going to get the jobs report. We got the jobs report by now. My guess is that the jobs report will beat the 190,000 jobs that they expected for May. I think it could beat it significantly, truthfully. With the job market still super hot, with wages rising by about 5% annually, the Fed finds itself in a pretty tough spot here, guys, because obviously wage growth, sizzling hot job market has been the thing the Fed has been really trying to work at slowing down to reduce these inflation numbers. You guys have heard me talk about it many times on the show, what they call the wage price spiral. Now, we're not quite exactly into that yet, but it's very similar and it's getting closer. Basically, the way it works is prices go up, inflation costs, and the cost of building for creating or farming or whatever it is, the cost of your merchandise goes up, so you have to raise your prices to consumers to compensate for those increased costs. But now your employees at the same time are seeing everything going up except their paycheck. They start clamoring for a little bit more money so they can still live the same way they're used to, even though they have to spend more money to do it. Bosses typically don't want to lose their good employees, so they will give those wage increases, at the same time, again, raising prices to offset the increased wages they're paying, which then leads to a spiral of higher wages, higher prices, higher wages, higher prices, and it adds fuel to the inflation fire. So that's why the Fed really keeps such a close eye on what employment numbers look like, on what wage growth looks like. Obviously, the hotter the jobs market, the more wage growth you're going to see. We had the PCE come in last week, disappointing number for the Fed. Inflation actually going up according to their favorite indicator, not down. Still 5%-ish, so it's not like it had a big spike or anything, but 5% is more than double their 2% target, right? So the Fed is in a pickle. They have, there's now pressure on them to hike rates again. The market actually factoring in about a better than 70% chance of a rate increase on June 13, 14 when the Fed has its open market committee meeting. At the same time, these elevated rates are killing banks, man. They're chewing into the collateral bonds these banks hold for their reserves, right? So the banks are buying treasuries, been buying treasuries for years and years to hold as reserves. Look at the liquidity and usually a decent return on them. Well, guess what? With rates spiking up like this, a lot of the bonds they're holding are deeply, deeply underwater. A 2.5% bond is not worth nearly par value when rates are 5.5%, right? So they're sitting on reduced resources, reduced reserves, putting tons of pressure. That's what happened with Silicon Valley. That's what leads to runs, is when reserves are weak, the depositors are afraid if they want their money, they won't be able to get it. Causes a run. They eat through their reserves, which are depleted. Now the Fed has taken some steps to try to mitigate that by lending money on those depleted reserves at full face value. There's a little moral hazard there, I'm guessing, right, guys? But anyway, so it's a really tough spot for the Fed, because now they got their choice. Fighting inflation, stable dollar, their number one mandate. Good jobs, full employment, their number two mandate. Looks like they're going to have to pick between the two, guys. Now, what's more important to the Fed? Is it the stable dollar and getting inflation down? Or is it keeping jobs rolling? The way that I'm understanding it, they're heavily favoring fighting inflation at the expense of jobs. We'll see how their corporate overlords react to that, though. It's just going to be a crazy time. So you add in, consumers. We just talked about it on Thursday's show. Now over $1 trillion in debt. Credit cards, student loans, $1,000 a month car payments. They're basically spent out, man. They're spent out, they're borrowed out, they're done, they're just toast. Now imagine, because I live in Vegas, this town's just booming, man. Now I gotta say, May was the first month in a year that the strip casinos did not bring in $1 billion in revenue, or in gaming revenue. So that streak got broken, but still a gigantic number, man. And, the bars, restaurants, theaters, hotels, everything full, packed to the brim. At the same time, we've read these reports, 70% of the people they polled don't have $400 put away. So are people borrowing money to go to these bars and restaurants, to take in shows? Where's the money coming from, guys? If you're already up to your eyebrows in debt, and you're still charging more just to amuse yourself, well, this is not going to end well, guys. We're going to see bankruptcies rise. I think that a recession is inevitable regardless of what the Fed does with rates. I think it's kind of already baked into the cake. Consumers tapped out. Commercial real estate will probably be what finally tips us into a full-scale recession. Crazy times coming, crazy stuff. So I've been telling you guys, we're living history. You weren't alive in the 70s and into the 80s for the last big inflation. You're alive for this one. So when they talk about, the economy 40, 50 years from now, they're going to be talking about this period, what we did, how we reacted, how society behaved. It's going to be a study for them. I just hope that we don't look as bad as we're looking right now, right? Now let's talk about real estate for a second before we wrap the show up today. I'm telling you guys, it's a phenomenon. I've never seen anything like it. Rates actually higher today, cruising up, getting close to 7%. Nonetheless, people want to buy houses. Real estate is actually starting to pick up. There's a lot of people on the sidelines that if the things improve at all, they're going to be buyers. You're going to see a boom in real estate once rates get into a manageable number. I really thought that we would see prices come down to meet these higher rates. I thought we would see a median price, at least here in Las Vegas, below $400,000. It got down to $415,000 from a peak of $482,000 last year. But now it's right back on the rise again. Back up to over $430,000 median price here in Las Vegas. So prices coming back up in spite of these rates not going back down. Now part of that's a gimmick, because the builders, as we've talked about on the show, there's no inventory of existing housing. People that own real estate have no incentive to sell. Rates are outrageous. They were trading up or down, they would be facing a gigantic payment, much bigger than the payment they have right now with their 2.5% or 3% mortgage. So there's no incentive for buyers to sell unless they absolutely have to, they're moving or whatever it is. Totally smashing down to smithereens inventory of existing houses. The real estate industry says 12-month supply is where you want to be. It's a healthy market. In Vegas, it's always been, we always kind of judge by a 6-month supply. A 6-month supply a healthy market. Right now we have about a 1.5 month supply. So we can exhaust every single bit of inventory that we have for sale right now in the next 6 weeks. We got a big problem with real estate because, well, what's happening is the builders now are gimmicking. So what they're doing is, as an incentive to buy a new house, they're buying down your mortgage rate into the 5s. So what they're doing is, I've been telling you guys, if rates come down, real estate's going to take off. But what they're doing is they're paying for rates to come down. So, buyer of a new house get a rate in the 5s, much better than, save a full point of interest, several $100s. And that's one of the gimmicks that builders are using to get people to buy new houses, and they're having great success with it. So real estate is alive and well. People want to buy houses. The demand is there. It's just that with prices where they are, $430,000 median here in Vegas, with rates climbing back up towards 7%, you're easily looking at a payment there of around $3,000 a month. And most first-time home buyers, when they hear a number like that, literally, physically blanch from it. It's crazy. Anyway, so real estate, I think that as soon as real estate has the opportunity to rally, it's going to. We'll see what's going to happen now, though, because I thought prices would continue to come down. They haven't. And this could be the pause. This could be the dead cat bounce. Prices still might come down to where I envision them to be, 360, 370,000 roughly here in Vegas. But, that's a pretty big drop from where we are, $60,000, $70,000 more, when we've only managed to come down through all of these high rates from 480 to 430. We'll see. Anyway, guys, that's it for a Friday. Have a super awesome, great weekend. We'll be back next week. I think it's a full week. I don't think there's any holidays or any weirdnesses in my schedule. So I think we'll be able to get you guys to show up every day. As always, we appreciate your support. We look forward to taking care of you guys and giving you the news you need. As always, hit me up in your comments. If you have questions, if the question's a little more in-depth or a little more personal, you don't want to ask it in the comment section, hit me up at askchuckbarone@gmail.com. I promise I've been answering all the questions on there. They at first it was an avalanche and it kind of stopped. Hit me up, guys. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, at least to the best of my knowledge and ability. Anyway, that's it for the day. Have an awesome weekend. I fully intend to. A little bit of golf, a little bit of beer, a little bit of sun. In the meantime, guys, awesome weekend to all of you. We'll be back on Monday. Until then, take care. Thanks.